I love it when David introduces me when I walk in the room. Sorry, guys, I was a little bit late. I've just working on negotiations with my residency at Bob Dobbs. So like deep into that right now, and hopefully it'll come through. So, but let's go. Let's hammer this out, guys. I got practice to get to.
Why was St. Mary's a good choice for an exhibition game?
Well, it's a great program. I mean, it's been one of the most consistent programs in the country for, let's go, 10, 15, 20 years now. And, Randy's a great coach, and, we have a good relationship, and the relationship with Arizona, goes before me. My relationship with him goes before me coming here. So, it just makes great sense. We've played him a number of times in, whatever those quote unquote secret scrimmages. So, when we thought about doing this and, obviously being able to ticket it to help generate some revenue, St. Mary's was an easy choice.
Does the game plan, Tommy, change now that these are real teams that we're playing in these games versus the lower echelon?
David, I can't give up my secrets. Listen, we're early, so early in the season, and we know we have some hard things coming. It's a great test for us. We want to get out and play against another team, and I'm sure there's going to be some positive things, and I'm sure there's going to be some negative things, and we're just going to use this as a learning opportunity and a growth opportunity. That's how we're going to approach this game. So I'm excited about the game. Anytime you put on an Arizona jersey, and you're part of our program, and we go out and compete together. You want to be successful and you want to win. So of course, that's going to be the objective. But the overriding objective is going to be to learn and to grow and to build for hopefully having a great season.
Exhibition games like this now, being able to play as St. Mary's in one of these games, do you see it moving forward where maybe you have two teams like St. Mary's in the future? Or
for sure. But you also. You also have an obligation to everybody in your roster to make sure they get opportunities in these games, and you want guys to play, and listen, there's a lot of great basketball being played at the Division II, the Division III, the NAIA, and JUCO levels. So I think it's great for those kids, to have an opportunity to play a program like Arizona as well, and I don't think that should be lost. One of the things that I would love for them to bring back is the ability to play national teams. We were deep in conversations. Potentially what I thought it was going to look like this year. I thought we were going to play St. Mary's, and I thought we were going to play the Mexican senior national team. We were, we basically had come to a kind of an agreement with the Mexican, the coaching staff that's what we were going to do. But unfortunately, the NCAA didn't allow it. We applied for a waiver and it didn't get approved. But I think that would be something really cool, and for these programs, especially now, with FIBA basketball. I know you guys may not know a lot about it, but there's these qualifying windows. They play in like November and January, where they play these two games, each window, to kind of, that's how you qualify for your regional championship or world championship type thing. And so those teams are always looking for opportunities to play. So I think that would be awesome if we could ever kind of figure that out. How cool would it be for, Tucson to come out and watch, the University of Arizona against the Mexican national team? I think obviously would be really well received. So fingers crossed, hopefully in the future something like that can happen.
When you played St. Mary's in those two secret scrimmages or closed ones, do you remember coming out of that where they did something to you guys that you really had to go back to work on?
Well, for sure. They're a good program. They have good players. They have just a sound approach to how they play the game. So there's always going to be things when you play against somebody else. When you're coaching your team in practice, you have a certain amount of control on what's happening over both sides of the ball. When you play someone else, you're giving up some of that control. And so I don't get to decide what Coach Bennett does with his team. So there in itself is a great challenge. You have to come out and you're playing against somebody else who, has worked really hard, and they have a sound plan and a sound approach and things they're trying to accomplish. So I think therein lies the great challenge is, it's for the first time, it's true competition.
Moravskis was here. What are the reports you guys are getting on where he is now?
Well, Murrah is a great person, and we really enjoyed having him here. I think he's found a great spot for him. And I'm really happy for him, and I think he had a good year for St. Mary's last year, and I think he's poised to have a great year this year. I mean, he's an all-conference type player for them, and, sometimes you come to a place and it doesn't work out for whatever reason, but I will say this, like, Murrah was nothing but a class act when he was here. I think, he had come with the intention of playing, and I had hoped he would play. It just didn't work out. And, ultimately I'm responsible for that. So I'm happy that he's kind of found his footing and he's pushing forward. All of the guys that have played for us are transfers. I really appreciate them. They've really been able to add value to our program, and ultimately in this day and age, sometimes they got to make different decisions to take advantage of their individual opportunities. And so I'm cool with guys exercising that right. But I'm also thankful for what they were able to give us. And Murrah was a great guy to have around every single day, and he's a heck of a player. And I'm sure he's excited to play against us and wants to give it to us a little bit, and as he should.
Go ahead, Dave. Ivan's a guy that has a very great grasp of the English language coming in. Does that give him an advantage over some of the international players that maybe are struggling with English their first year?
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing, Yvonne, is he's been coached in English. I think Dwayne, is the same thing. I mean, those two are both, obviously almost perfectly fluent English speakers, and they're smart guys. So, there really hasn't been a lot of language barriers with them. Ceedy, we're still, crossing that bridge, but Ceedy's really, really smart, and he's learning fast. So it's been fun to watch him, just, how fast he learns English. Like, I'm blown away. Like, I've lived in, Tucson for, going on my 5th year, and, my Spanish hasn't gotten a lot better, Burrilla, I mean, I know what that is. Burro, I know that's also a burrito now, but it's pretty limited. So I'm impressed when somebody else like Ceedy can learn as fast as he does.
Named on the Big 12 preseason list from your team. I know how much that means and doesn't mean, but use the whole Wisconsin thing as motivation a couple of years ago. We'll use that as motivation to JB or any of the guys.
I don't even know what Wisconsin thing you're talking about.
The fact that the program lost to Wisconsin in back-to-back Elite Eights. You brought in TJ McConnell.
Okay. How did that work out when we played at Wisconsin? Oh, it did? At Wisconsin it worked out well? I'm teasing. I don't understand exactly what you're saying. Listen, I have no problem with that. I mean, the other coaches voted on it. Everyone gets their vote, and that's the decision. That's how the numbers shook out. Now let's go play basketball. I mean, preseason. Preseason stuff's for you guys. It's to make your job easier, to quantify something that might not be quantifiable. So, I'm cool with that. I mean, obviously media is a big part of what we do, and if it helps you guys out, I got no problem with it. I have not spent 1 second thinking about it, talking about it. We're going to try to have a good practice today. We're building for what we hope is a successful, tough season, and hopefully at the end of the day, our team plays well enough, and some of the individuals play well enough on it that they get the real honor that matters, and that would be being getting whatever credit in the off season or at the end of the season. So
You say like a guy like JB though, for example. I think there was a tweet from the U of A today that he's the best point guard in the country, and you guys may feel that way, but the coaches didn't put him on the 10 teams. I mean, do you feel like that maybe he should qualify for that at least at this point?
Listen. JB's a great player, and I'm not trading him. I love having him. So again, I'm not going to get into what other coaches are thinking or who deserves a vote for whatever. That's everyone's individual right. They can vote however they want. And to be honest with you, I really don't care because it has no impact on what we're doing. And you know what? The guy who probably cares as little as I do is JB. JB's about helping our team win. And that's why we love him. He's a good player who is always going to do what's best for the team. And you tell me a coach in the country that wouldn't want that, as opposed to a guy who's, there to serve himself and try to make himself an all-conference player. Good luck. I'm gonna take the guy that does what the team needs every single day of the week, and we have that guy.
Do you know who your starters will be for this game yet, or have you not?
Not totally. We'll get through practice, and today and tomorrow, kind of figure out where we're at physically, and kind of how we want it to look and some lineups we want to try, and we'll go from there. But I wouldn't read anything into it one way or another.
Also in that respect, though, because this is a Division I opponent that you're facing, the whole game day approach, are you trying to treat this like this were a regular season game?
We always do. I mean, we treat red blue like that. I mean, you don't get enough reps at game day stuff to prepare. So anytime we can kind of try to simulate what a game day build-up would look like, we try to take advantage of it. So yeah, we'll treat it like a normal game day.
Similar to what Brian was asking, are you planning on pretty much using everyone available? Is this going to be a thing where it's going to look closer to, hey, we're playing Florida in a few weeks, or how do we kind of?
No, I mean, I hope everyone gets an opportunity to play. You know what I mean? Like, we just got to figure out what that looks like, and but also, we have a, we have an obligation to prepare the team, for tough games ahead. So, we got to figure out, if there's certain lineups we need to look at, or a certain number of minutes we want to get guys. We kind of got to figure out what that looks like. So just a lot of things would be taken into consideration, but I'm hopeful we can get everybody a little burn in the game for sure.
You have a number of the national college basketball writers that come through here every fall to watch practice. John Rothstein from CBS was one of those guys. He opinioned that he felt like Braden Murray's could be a guy that is a late shot clock shooter for you, maybe to replace a Caleb Love. A lot to put on a freshman, but do you potentially see Braden as being that kind of player for you?
Braden's a really good player, and I don't think there's not a lot on the court that Braden can't do or can't handle. So I'm sure being one of our guards, the ball's going to find him in some of those tougher moments, and I'm pretty confident he'll do good things when he has those opportunities. So I'm not we're not a team that tilts it to one guy where this guy is going to get all this into the shot clock stuff or stuff like that. But he's somebody that is definitely dynamic enough that I think he can be really successful in those situations.
Big 12 topic, the coaches also had you guys fourth. Does that seem right to you about, behind?
Bruce, you answer this for me. What would Tommy say?
That you're not looking at that stuff like you just said, and
That's why I love you. You and we get along great because we understand each other. You're just gonna play the games, and I don't put no credence into it, and let's see what we got. Let's see where it shakes out. These seasons are long. The competition's legit. So we know we have to be up for the challenge, and I'm not saying we're being disrespected and we should be better than fourth. I'm not saying I think we're overranked and we should be worse than fourth. Let's go figure it out, and we're going to be 0-0 at some point going into the Big 12 season, and I'm sure we're going to be hopeful we're competing for a league championship. As I'm sure my competitors are. So, let's see how it all shakes out at the end of the day.
You're entering year 2 of the Big 12, and in this conference, I know Arizona's been through a lot of battles, but just learning the road environments in the different conference settings, just what did you take from your first year?
That you just every road game is going to be tough, and not only because Arizona's coming there. I'm sure that that I'm assuming that has a little bit to do with generating some excitement. But these fan bases are always always also pretty traditional and pretty strong. So they have great home court environments. We played in a couple of environments last year. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, you get a chance to play at BYU, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, at Kansas. And I'm probably missing a couple. Just off the top of it. Even Kansas State, we showed up there and they were kind of struggling and trying to pick it up. And you're like, okay, this is these people aren't acting like their team's struggling. I mean, they're here to cheer on, wearing their purple and wanting blood. So I think you just have to understand that it's a real challenge to do that and try to build your team to be successful and consistent on the road and give yourself the best opportunity to win road games. I think, I don't know what our road record was last year in conference, maybe 6-4 or something like that. I mean, I think that had a big part to do with us kind of being able to overcome, kind of our slow start to the non-conference. You go 6-4 on the road in the Big 12, and you end up a 4 seed, and we're battling for second, third, I mean, I think that said a lot, and kind of was maybe a differentiator in us being, maybe a team that, we didn't have, single-digit losses or anything. We obviously lost a few more games than that, but we still, were a top 4 protected seed.
You talked about your DJ residency when you came in here, but what was the reaction to Red Blue, Coast Moon, Shaq being here, and just the aura that creates for your program nationally, and maybe attracting kids to come play?
That's a great question. I think we can go a lot of directions here. I think in the scheme of things, Arizona basketball matters, and in Arizona basketball it's a brand that people across the country know, and they associate a successful basketball program with the University of Arizona, and I think Arizona basketball also is fun, and we don't ever want to discount that. Obviously, we're serious about what we do. We're professionals in how we approach it. But I also understand we're in the entertainment business. And, our job is to entertain our fans, engage, our fan base, and provide some, fun experiences. And so I think, what went down that Friday night was awesome. I mean, it was a ton of fun. The game, and guys, a lot of those things in games, we might have had some plans, but they were playing out in real time. I mean, these were not like scripted decisions that were happening way ahead of time, and we were figuring it out as we go. And fortunately, we had some willing participants that might have some notoriety, and we have some creative thinkers, and we had some great people behind the scenes executing all that stuff, and it made for a special night. And then we went over to that post-move deal, and, the Dusk Boys, deserve a lot of credit. I mean, to have the courage, because that was an event run by Dusk, that wasn't, quote unquote, just a University of Arizona event. And those guys had the courage. I mean, they're the ones paying the talent and, doing the tickets and all that stuff. So I'm really appreciative of those guys, because that's a great vision. And to be honest with you, we want to continue to do more stuff like that. We want to make basketball at Arizona a fun experience for everyone involved. We understand it comes down to winning and losing games, but it also comes down to experience and how you feel. And we want people to have a great feeling and a feeling of fun and happiness and joy when they experience Arizona basketball. You know what? There's probably going to be a little misery tied in with a few results, but that's part of the ride. And so I thought it was awesome, and I'm thankful for the community. I'm thankful for everybody that was a part of it. And, right now, I'm glad it's over, because I want to focus on just this season. But, trust me, outside of that box, there's thoughts of me is like, can we do it bigger next year? And, can we have a bigger moment for Tucson and for our basketball program around the Red Blue game? So dreaming big, but also waking up to reality of getting ready for a tough season. So I'm excited for Saturday, thankful for you guys being here, and wishing you guys a happy Thursday and Friday, and I'll see you Saturday afternoon.
That was a long answer, but I was
I had a great closing, Bruce. You're taking my thunder. Like, I literally worked on that closing for 15 minutes. Now I have to get another close. Okay, let's go. Take 2.
I actually wanted to ask you this before, but just following up on Morauskas, because I think I remember you saying part of the issue was the 4. He wasn't struggling to adjust to the 4 the way you used it. And I'm just wondering, like with St. Mary's system, was that does Bennett use his 4s differently that maybe helped him, or do you think that it was more a matter of playing time, or like you said, just maybe a different fit? I was wondering specifically with something about
I can't speak for him on his decision, but from my perspective, somebody who knows college basketball, he picked a perfect place to take advantage of his skill set and his strengths. And I know he had a lot of other opportunities, maybe some to play in some bigger conferences or bigger names, But he made a really mature decision, and he's playing in a great program. And I don't think he could have made a better basketball decision than the one he made.
I was just wondering, thematically, if that mattered at all.
Yeah, I think he picked a perfect place for him right now this time around. So I'm really happy for him. Thank you, guys.
Your thoughts of the Red and Blue game, we didn't get to talk to you about it, just being out there on the court again in a live game situation with fans in the stands.
It was great event, show for the fans, for us to just play, feel how it feels to play together, and for me it was really good to finally play again, so I think it was great.
What do you remember about playing alongside or with Paulius when he was here 2 years ago?
I remember that we both came here as a freshman, and it was a new experience for both of us. We had a really good team, and just remember like spending time with him, sharing the court together, so only good memories.
Do you guys still keep in contact at all? Do you talk? Yeah. How's things going for him there? What's he saying about his experience?
I think it's going great. He's excited for season, excited to come here to play, so it's going great.
Were you surprised just how he seemed to fit into their system and, played, he was WCC Newcomer of the Year last year, how well?
I wasn't surprised because I always knew like what level of player he is, so I think it's just the start for him.
So what are you hoping to accomplish yourself from this game? The Red-Blue gave you the opportunity to get back out on the court into a game, but now you're going to be going against a different team where you don't know really much about the opponent. Do you feel like that's like a better challenge to see how you're doing physically?
I mean, it will be like a real team will play because Red and Blue is just 2 quarters, but I think it will be a great experience because St. Mary's is a great team. They always end up in March Madness, so really good opportunity for us just to feel how we look against like great teams. So, yeah.
Were you able to kind of reconnect with Paulius over the summer in Lithuania? And then just what was that like?
We went fishing together.
Where'd you go?
To the lake. Just
In Lithuania?
yeah.
How far back do you guys go, by the way? Did you play like club ball together when you were kids, or little?
We always played against each other, and we would play in the national team together. So
Since how old about?
16.
So this whole fishing thing, how long have you been fishing? What do you like to try to catch?
I've been fishing my whole life. I started with my dad and brother, and just keep fishing here too. Yeah.
Is there certain fishes that you like there that your favorites, or what do you usually try to catch?
Big fish.
Do you cook them?
No,
You
just
just-
I release them. Yeah.
Oh.
When you guys are back there like that, I mean, do you ever talk about or just reflect on just the fact that, yeah, you guys are from Lithuania and you're back there, but you've had these other lives over here and different experiences and just going to college and all that stuff. How does that make you?
Yeah, we talk about it. Like, we just remember as a great time and great growing opportunity here to come to Arizona for the first year. So we just reflect positive about it.
Well, how do you guys feel like, a lot of times the exhibition games, you're playing Division II teams or whatever, but right away you're going to get hit with a pretty good team here. How do you guys feel about doing that? And, as far as the practice goes, where are you guys?
I think it's a really great opportunity that NCAA allowed it to like play teams like that. So I think we feel great. It will be a good test for us. They're a really good team, well coached, so it will be good to face like a real challenge.
How does it compare where you guys are now to maybe a year ago as far as, you have a lot of freshmen coming in that you're going to rely a lot on? Does that take longer to get used to in the preseason, or do you feel like it's pretty similar to last year?
I think it's similar. I mean, we will see on the real games.
Were you on the floor when Gronk was out there for the Red Blue game? What were the guys' thoughts about being on the floor with him?
It was fun. Some show elements. And he dragged our team down, but it was fun.
You guys were ahead at that point.
Yeah.
Who did he replace out on the court?
I think Koa.
Koa.
Yeah.
Speaking of Koa, just from the freshmen so far, how do you think that group has looked now that you've had these weeks together? Do you think that group is ready for the competition?
I definitely think they're ready. They looked great. They're great persons, really simple to talk, really coachable, and on the court they're super talented, aggressive, so I think they're definitely ready.
With Koa, do you guys ever talk about, he's played a lot of international ball and, you know, and you have, I mean, is that ever, do you see that maybe helping him as a freshman, and he's had all these different kinds of experiences? Or?
I think for sure it helps, just like to play different styles of basketball. I mean, FIBA brings different defenses, offensive strategies, so I think it definitely helped him.
Well, Tias, what's your game day routine? Like, do you have something you eat every day, game day, some music you like to listen to get you hyped up for games? What's your routine?
Depends when we play, or we play home or away, but it's, I don't know, pretty similar, just same breakfast, just trying to keep it like similar every game day.
Is there a home breakfast? Cook it, what's your go-to?
BDK, yeah. I have to have a nap.
Nap?
Yeah.
How long?
Huh?
How long?
Like 40 minutes.
Anything else? There you go. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.